The dim light of dawn was peeking through the crack in the heavy velvet curtains, leaving a slender trail across the worn-out, antique dresser, and illuminating a single glass of water by Leon's bed. Leon's chest heaved as he jolted awake, his aging, frail body slick with a cold sheen of sweat. The damp sheets clung to his trembling form as his heart pounded in his ears like a drum echoing through the silence. He squinted, struggling to adjust his focus to the reality of the room around him. His eyes took in the worn-out wallpaper, the dust particles floating in the muted morning light, the sepia-toned family photographs on the peeling paint, before finally landing on the clock. The hands were a blur, but it wasn't time that Leon was seeking. He squeezed his eyelids shut, battling the remnants of the dream, a dream that had been as real as the disheveled bed he now sat upon. Rats. Dozens of them, swarming over one another, a heaving mass of writhing bodies, their beady eyes glowing ominously. Each rat bore a number, clearly visible against their grimy fur, 2 recurring ones standing out. Seared into his mind. 732. He leaned back, sinking into the nest of his pillows as the unsettling memory of the dream filled him with an uneasy dread. His heart still throbbed in his chest, each beat punctuating the eerie stillness of his room. The smell of damp earth and rotting wood from the dream still lingered in his nostrils, making his stomach turn. But there was something more. Behind the fear and repulsion, there was a peculiar sense of revelation, of understanding. Leon had lived long enough to know that dreams could be more than just fragmented echoes of the subconscious. His lips moved, a hoarse whisper escaping as he voiced the numbers. 7, 3, 2, 0. The shiver ran through him. Not of fear, but of anticipation. These numbers, they meant something. The dread from the dream began to dissipate slowly, replaced with a rising tide of intrigue. Leon wasn't a betting man, but he knew that dreams and numbers held special significance in the lottery world. The rats, the fear, the dirt. They were distasteful indeed, but perhaps they were vehicles, bearing a fortuitous message, a chance at the elusive lady luck through the lottery. His aging hand reached out, shaky but determined, towards the small notebook on the bedside table. His fingers, gnarled from years and arthritis, closed around a pen. The scratchy sound of pen on paper echoed in the silent room as he jotted down the numbers, his heart still echoing with the dream's intensity, but his mind clearer, focused on the day that lay ahead. He would ask Lamont, his nephew, to play the lottery. Yes, today was going to be a day unlike any other. The rats had seen to that. Lamont. The name stretched out in Leon's gravelly voice, bouncing off the creaky walls of their home, a testament to the years of shared history within these rooms. He winced at the sharp sting in his chest, the price paid for that shout. He leaned back, resting his frail body against the headboard, waiting for the young man to appear. Their relationship was complex, built from layers of love, frustration, gratitude, and resentment. Ever since his older brother Melvin's death, Leon had been a father figure to Lamont, a task he'd taken on with a quiet sense of duty. It hadn't been easy, and the chasms of misunderstanding often seemed too wide to cross. The silence stretched out before a swift series of footsteps broke it. Leon smiled despite himself. Lamont, never one for morning pleasantries, entered the room with a huff, still rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The worry on his young face was evident, fighting for dominance over his morning grumpiness. "Damn, Unc, you all right?" Lamont said, his brows furrowed in concern. "You hollerin' like the house is on fire." Leon dismissed his concerns with a nonchalant wave of his hand. "Calm down, boy," he said, his lips curling into a tired grin. "Ain't nothing on fire here unless it's your impatience." The young man rolled his eyes, leaning against the doorframe. He was a pillar of youth, so full of energy and life, his demeanor such a stark contrast to Leon's. Yet, beneath the irritation, There was respect and concern. Leon motioned for him to come closer, and he complied, albeit reluctantly. He held out the notepad to Lamont. The numbers 732 and 7,000, 320 scribbled in his crooked handwriting. "I had a dream, Lamont," he began, his voice a hushed whisper. "There were rats, a swarm of them, each with numbers. But these were the ones they kept showing me." Lamont's frown deepened, and he exchanged a quick glance with Leon before staring at the numbers again. "You want me to play these?" he asked, his tone suggesting he found the idea both strange and amusing. Leon nodded earnestly, the wrinkles around his eyes deepening. "Yes, I believe they're lucky. They're a sign." A sigh escaped Lamont as he stood there, holding the paper. He was no stranger to his uncle's superstitious beliefs, but this was a whole new level. Still, he found himself unable to deny the older man, a sense of duty and familial affection pulling at his heartstrings. "All right, Unc," he finally replied, his voice filled with resignation. "I'll play 'em, but if this is just another one of your hunches—" "Thank you, Lamont," Leon interjected, his hand patting the younger man's arm. He didn't need to hear the rest. He was already smiling, filled with an anticipation that brightened his old eyes. The day was already proving to be one of unexpected beginnings. "Well, let me be the first to say." "Unc," Lamont began, the dismissive undertone in his voice cutting through the room like a cold breeze. "Your hunches haven't exactly led to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow before." Leon recoiled, his face twisting into an expression of hurt and surprise. But it was the bitterness lurking in the corners of Lamont's words that stung him the most. "Is that how you see us, Lamont?" he retorted, trying to keep his voice steady. "I call on you for a favor, and you make it sound like I'm gambling away your inheritance." As Leon's words hung heavy in the air, their shared history unfolded before them. All the unpaid bills, the shared meals, the moments of crisis, and the shared laughter. Everything funneled into this single boiling point. "What I see, Leon, is a cycle," Lamont shot back, his restraint crumbling. His hands gestured wildly, mirroring the storm brewing inside him. "A cycle where you dream up something, and I'm the one who has to make it happen. And when it doesn't work out, it's my fault." Leon's face paled as he realized the depth of Lamont's frustration. Yet, a part of him stubbornly clung to his position. "So, now I'm a burden to you." Leon's voice trembled, his frailty suddenly more pronounced. "You know that's not what I mean," Lamont sighed heavily, running his hands through his hair. "But damn, Unc, you can't just keep expecting me to do everything for you without so much as a thank you." A silence followed. Leon looked at his nephew, his heart aching. He could see the exhaustion in Lamont's eyes, a testament to the sacrifices he'd made. Yet he had his own share of pride and resentment to deal with. "You think I need to thank you?" Leon finally spoke, his voice so low it was almost a whisper. "For living under my roof, eating my food, using my money when you didn't have any?" Lamont looked as if he'd been slapped. "That's how you see it," he choked out, his hands balling into fists after all these years. "Yes," Leon retorted stubbornly. "You're here because you chose to stay. You don't like how things are. You're free to leave."